I want to share something with you today that deeply concerns me. I've been teaching natural health for many years now, and I keep seeing the same pattern over and over again. People come to me and they say, "Barbara, I'm taking my vitamin D. My doctor told me to take it. I'm being so good about it. I take it every single day and yet they're not feeling better. In fact, some of them are feeling worse." Now, I need you to understand something very important. Vitamin D is not the enemy here. This is a nutrient that God designed your body to make from sunshine. It's essential for your health. But what I'm seeing is that people are taking it in a way that's actually creating problems in their bodies, and nobody's explaining to them why this is happening. Let me tell you about a woman I'll call Mary. She came to see me after months of feeling unwell. She'd been taking vitamin D faithfully, just as her doctor prescribed, 5,000 units every single day, but she was experiencing heart palpitations. Her heart would flutter and race for no apparent reason. She was getting terrible leg cramps at night that would wake her up, and she felt exhausted all the time, even though she was sleeping 8 hours. Mary thought she must be allergic to the vitamin D. She was ready to stop taking it altogether. But when I sat down with her and we went through what was actually happening in her body, we discovered something crucial. Mary wasn't allergic to vitamin D at all. The problem was that she was taking it all by itself without the other nutrients her body needed to actually use it properly. You see, I want you to think about your body like a beautiful orchestra. Every instrument needs to be playing together in harmony. You can't just have the violins playing and expect beautiful music. You need the cellos, the flutes, the drums, all working together. Vitamin D is like the conductor of this orchestra, but it needs the other instruments to create the symphony of health in your body. When you take vitamin D by itself, without its partner nutrients, it's like asking that conductor to create music without any musicians. It simply cannot work the way it's designed to work. Now, the first thing I need to explain to you is what happens with calcium when you take vitamin D. This is absolutely critical, and most people have never been told this. When you swallow vitamin D, one of its main jobs is to help your body absorb calcium from your food. It goes to your intestines, and it opens the door. It says, "Come on in, calcium, we need you." And the calcium floods into your bloodstream. Now, this is where people get into trouble. They think, "Well, I'm taking calcium and vitamin D together. That's good for my bones. That's what I'm supposed to do." And yes, your bones do need calcium. But here's what nobody tells you. That calcium floating around in your bloodstream doesn't know where to go. It's like a lost traveler in a foreign country with no map. Your bones are over here saying, "We need you, calcium. Come to us." But the calcium can't hear them. It doesn't have directions. So where does it go? It starts depositing wherever it lands. It deposits in your arteries, making them stiff and hard. It deposits in your heart valves. It deposits in your kidneys, forming stones. This is called the calcium paradox, and I see it all the time in people who've been taking calcium and vitamin D for years without understanding this principle. Now, God designed a solution for this. There's a nutrient called vitamin K2, not vitamin K1, which you get from green vegetables, and helps your blood clot. This is K2, and it has a very specific job in your body. Vitamin K2 is like a traffic director. When calcium comes flooding into your bloodstream because of the vitamin D, K2 stands there and says, "You, calcium, you need to go to the bones. That's where you belong." It activates proteins in your body, special proteins with names like osteocalcin and matrix GLA protein. These proteins grab that calcium and escort it to your skeleton where it belongs. At the same time, K2 prevents calcium from depositing in your soft tissues, in your arteries, in your heart. It sweeps it away and says, "No, you don't belong here. Go to the bones." I cannot stress enough how important this is. I've seen people with beautiful, strong bones on their scans, but when we look at their hearts, their arteries are calcified. They're stiff, they're hard, and this happened because they took calcium and vitamin D for years without K2. They built their skeleton, but they damaged their cardiovascular system in the process. Now, where do you get K2? This is the challenge. K2 is not in very many foods that people eat today. It's found in fermented foods primarily. In traditional cultures, people ate fermented foods regularly. Sauerkraut, kimchi, natto from Japan, which is fermented soybeans. These foods are rich in K2, but most people today don't eat these foods. They've lost this wisdom. K2 is also found in animal products, but only if the animals were raised properly. Grass-fed butter has K2. Egg yolks from chickens that ate bugs and grass have K2. But eggs from chickens in cages fed commercial grain, very little K2. Butter from grain-fed cows, almost no K2. So even if you're eating these foods, you may not be getting enough K2 unless you're very intentional about sourcing them properly. This is why I recommend that people taking vitamin D also take a K2 supplement. The form you want is called MK7. This is the form that stays active in your bloodstream for hours, continuously directing that calcium traffic. You need about 100 to 200 micrograms daily. That's a very small amount, but it makes all the difference in the world. Now, let me tell you about the second problem I see constantly. People take their vitamin D and their bodies try to use it, but they can't. They simply cannot activate it properly, and this is because they're missing magnesium. I want you to imagine you have a beautiful car. It's sitting in your driveway, shiny and new. You turn the key, but nothing happens. The engine won't start. Why? Because there's no fuel in the tank. The car is perfect. The engine is fine, but without fuel, it cannot function. Magnesium is the fuel that allows vitamin D to work in your body. When you swallow vitamin D, it's inactive. It needs to be converted, activated, first in your liver, then in your kidneys. These conversion steps require enzymes, special proteins that do the work, and those enzymes absolutely require magnesium to function. Without magnesium, those enzymes sit there idle. The vitamin D cannot be converted. It cannot become active. So what happens when you take vitamin D and you're low in magnesium, which most people are? Your body tries desperately to convert that vitamin D. The enzymes start working over time, and they pull magnesium from wherever they can find it, from your muscles, from your bones, from your tissues. They drain your already low magnesium stores even lower. And that's when the symptoms start. Your heart begins to flutter. You feel it pounding irregularly in your chest. This is because magnesium is essential for normal heart rhythm. When it drops too low, your heart's electrical system becomes unstable. You get palpitations, skipped beats. It's terrifying, even though it's usually not dangerous, but it's your body screaming that something is wrong. Your muscles start cramping, those terrible nighttime leg cramps that wake you up in agony. Your calf muscle locks up and won't release. This happens because magnesium is what allows your muscles to relax. When you contract a muscle, calcium rushes in. When you want to relax it, magnesium pushes the calcium back out. But without enough magnesium, the muscle contracts and gets stuck. It cannot let go. I see this pattern constantly. Someone starts taking vitamin D, and within weeks they develop heart palpitations and muscle cramps. They think they're allergic to the vitamin D. They want to stop taking it. But the real problem is they needed magnesium all along. Their body was already deficient, and the vitamin D just exposed that deficiency by increasing the demand. Now, why are so many people low in magnesium? Let me explain this. Magnesium comes primarily from green vegetables, nuts, seeds, whole grains, foods that most people simply don't eat enough of. And even when they do eat these foods, the magnesium content is much lower than it used to be. Modern farming has depleted the soil. The vegetables your grandmother ate had twice the magnesium as the vegetables you buy today. On top of that, many medications deplete magnesium. Water pills that people take for blood pressure or heart failure flush magnesium out through the kidneys. Acid-blocking drugs that people take for heartburn reduce magnesium absorption from your gut. Antibiotics can interfere with it. If you're on any of these medications, you're at very high risk for magnesium deficiency. So when you add vitamin D on top of an existing magnesium deficiency, you create a crisis in your body. That's why I always recommend that people taking vitamin D also take magnesium. The form matters here. You want magnesium glycinate or magnesium malate. These forms are well absorbed and gentle on your digestive system. The dosage I recommend is 300 to 400 milligrams daily, taken with food. Now, there's another mistake I need to address, and this one makes me quite frustrated because it's so easily avoidable. Many doctors prescribe the wrong type of vitamin D. There are two forms available, vitamin D2 and vitamin D3. They sound similar, they're both called vitamin D, but they are not the same thing at all. Vitamin D3 is the form your skin makes when you're out in the sunshine. It's the form God designed your body to produce and use. It's found in animal foods like fish and eggs. When you take D3, your body recognizes it immediately. It converts it efficiently into the active form. It works beautifully. Vitamin D2 is a plant-derived form. It's chemically different. Your body can use it technically, but not well. The conversion is slower and less complete. The active form that gets produced doesn't stay in your bloodstream as long. Studies comparing these two forms show that D3 is nearly twice as effective at raising your vitamin D levels as D2. So why do doctors prescribe D2? Because it's cheaper. Insurance companies prefer it. And honestly, most doctors don't even know there's a significant difference. They were taught in medical school that vitamin D is vitamin D, but the research clearly shows this isn't true. D3 is superior in every measurable way. If your doctor has given you a prescription for vitamin D, look at the bottle. If it says ergocalciferol or vitamin D2, you need to switch. You can buy vitamin D3 over the counter at any pharmacy or health food store. You don't need a prescription. It's inexpensive, usually less than $10 for several months' supply. There's simply no reason to continue taking the inferior form when the better form is readily available. Now here's something else that most people don't understand. Vitamin D is what we call fat-soluble. This is very important. It means it needs fat to be absorbed properly. If you take your vitamin D with just water or black coffee on an empty stomach, most of it will pass right through your digestive system without being absorbed. It's wasted. Think about oil and water. When you pour oil into water, it doesn't mix. It floats on top. Vitamin D is like that oil. It needs fat from food to bind to help it cross through your intestinal wall and into your bloodstream. Without that fat, it can't get across. The solution is simple. Take your vitamin D with a meal or snack that contains some fat. It doesn't have to be a large amount. A tablespoon of olive oil, a handful of nuts, some avocado, a boiled egg, full-fat yogurt, even just a bit of butter on your toast. Any of these will provide enough fat to help that vitamin D absorb properly. I had someone come to me whose vitamin D levels wouldn't improve despite taking supplements for months. We changed nothing except the timing. Instead of taking it first thing in the morning with water, they started taking it with breakfast that included eggs. 3 months later, their levels had jumped significantly. Same supplement, same dose, but now it was actually getting into their body. Now, I need to talk to you about dosage because this is where I see enormous confusion. The government recommendation for vitamin D is 600 units daily for most adults and 800 units if you're over 70. These numbers are completely inadequate. They're based on old research that only looked at preventing rickets, which is a severe bone disease from extreme deficiency. These recommendations are survival doses. They're the bare minimum to keep your bones from crumbling. but they're nowhere near what you need for optimal health. They're not enough to support your immune system, your heart, your brain, all the other functions that vitamin D is involved in. Most people over 60 who get their levels tested are deficient or insufficient. Their blood levels are in the 20s or low 30s. To bring those levels up to where they should be, which is 40 to 60, you need much more than 600 units daily. You typically need 3,000 to 5,000 units daily for several months to correct a deficiency. Now, I understand this sounds like a lot if you're comparing it to the government recommendations, but your skin makes 10,000 to 25,000 units of vitamin D after just 20 minutes of sun exposure on a summer day. Your body is designed to handle this amount. Taking 5,000 units from a supplement is simply replacing what you would make naturally if you spent more time outdoors in the sunshine. The fear that people have about taking too much vitamin D is largely unwarranted. Toxicity doesn't happen unless you're taking extremely high doses, 10,000 units or more daily, for many months. And it develops gradually. It's easily monitored with blood tests. Taking 3,000 to 5,000 units daily is safe and appropriate for most people who are starting from a deficient baseline. But here's what you must understand. You cannot guess at this. You need to know your levels. Ask your doctor for a 25-hydroxy-vitamin D blood test. This will tell you exactly where you stand. If you're below 30, you're deficient. If you're 30 to 40, you're insufficient. 40 to 60 is optimal. Once you know your starting point, you can dose appropriately. If you're very deficient, you might need 5,000 units daily for 3 to 6 months. Then you retest and see where you've gotten to. Once you're at optimal levels, you can often maintain with 2,000 to 3,000 units daily. But everyone is different. Some people need more, some need less. Testing is the only way to know for sure. Now, I want to bring all of this together for you because I know I've given you a lot of information. The key point I want you to remember is this. Vitamin D is not meant to be taken alone. It's part of a team. It needs its partner nutrients to work properly and safely. You need K2 to direct the calcium to your bones and keep it out of your arteries. 100 to 200 micrograms of the MK7 form daily. You need magnesium so your body can actually activate the vitamin D. 300 to 400 milligrams of magnesium glycinate or malate daily. You need to take the right form, which is D3, not D2. And you need to take it with fat so it actually absorbs. When you put all of these pieces together, vitamin D becomes one of the most powerful tools for supporting your health. It strengthens your bones. Yes, but it also supports your immune system, your heart, your muscles, your mood, your brain function, but only when you take it correctly, only when you provide the supporting cast it needs. I've seen people transform their health by making these simple changes. They were taking vitamin D all wrong and they were either getting no benefit or actually creating problems. Once they added K2 and magnesium, once they switched to D3 and started taking it with meals, everything changed. Their energy improved, their symptoms resolved, their blood work normalized. This is what I want for you. I want you to understand how your body actually works so you can support it properly. Your body is brilliantly designed. Every system works together in harmony when you give it what it needs. But when you take isolated nutrients without understanding the bigger picture, you can create imbalances. Go and look at your vitamin D supplement right now. Check what type you have. Is it D2 or D3? If it's D2, replace it with D3. Check whether you're also taking K2 and magnesium. If not, add them. These aren't optional extras, they're essential partners. Make sure you're taking your vitamin D with food that contains fat. Move it from your morning water routine to breakfast time when you're eating eggs or yogurt or nuts. This one simple change can double your absorption. And please get your levels tested if you haven't already. Don't guess, don't assume you're fine because you're taking a supplement. Know your actual numbers, then you can adjust your dose to reach optimal levels and maintain them. I often see people spending money on supplements that aren't helping them because they don't understand these principles. They think they're doing the right thing, they're being faithful about taking their pills. But the results aren't there because the pieces aren't working together the way they should. Your health is precious. The wisdom God has placed in your body is remarkable, but you need to work with that design, not against it. Vitamin D, K2 and magnesium together form a powerful partnership that supports strong bones, healthy arteries, stable heart rhythm, strong muscles and so much more. I encourage you to take this information seriously. Make these changes. Give your body what it truly needs, and I believe you'll feel the difference. Not overnight, but over weeks and months, you'll notice that things work better. You'll have more energy. Your body will feel stronger. Your health will improve. This is the beauty of natural health. When you understand how things actually work, when you support your body's own healing systems, remarkable things can happen. You don't need to fear vitamin D. You just need to take it wisely, with understanding, with all the partners it requires to do its job properly. I hope this has been helpful to you today. I hope you'll take these principles and apply them in your own life. Your body will thank you for it. I